طيب آه، أنا مش عارفة أنتوا شايفين النوتيفيكيشن بتاع اللايف أو لأ. أنا هكمل معاكم. وأوريدي هسيبه لكم على الصفحة علشان تقدروا إن أنتوا كلكم تشوفوا اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الشرح. طيب the room in which the boys were fed was a big hall. A large pot stood at one end. When it was time for meals, a master served the soup from the pot to the boys. Each boy had one small bowl of soup and no more. طيب this passage describes the condition in the workhouse. It showed the cruelty and the corruption in the workhouse, in which the orphan Oliver had just been sent. The function of this description is twofold. What by twofold? First, to provoke our sympathy. يعني إيه to provoke our sympathy? He wants us or readers to be provoked by what we see from the poor, from bad treatment to the poor. For young Oliver and his fellow unfortunates. And the second is to register Dickens' protest. أنا قلنا قبل كده إن Charles Dickens was protesting, or he was not accepting what was happening. And that's why he made this story, in order to provoke the people, in order to protest and refuse what was happening. And second, to register Dickens. And the second thing was to register Dickens' protest against the welfare or injustice of the society, of the policy to the society and practice of charity in the England of this time. It reflects Dickens' disapproval of the corruption that has spread at the time, symbolized by the institution of the workhouse. يعني أنا عندي هو عمل النوفل دي just to protest and foreshadow and make people realize what was happening in the society. This London is not the duty drinking paradise you might imagine. From the story, explain how Dickens used the setting of the story to shed light on the main theme and how people were affected by this fake paradise. This city is described as being one of the dirtiest places, with narrow streets all the time. It was dark, it was dirty. The air was full of bad smells, and the road full of men and women who had drunk too much. Once you get into it, it's hard to get back out. The city itself serves as a kind of prison. It's not as heaven as Oliver had thought. It's filthy, foggy, and crime hidden, and things aren't always what they seem. It was dark that Oliver started to think to run away again. Okay, why Fagin is not able to corrupt Oliver, or why isn't Fagin able to corrupt Oliver? احنا قلنا قبل كده ان Oliver كان عنده حاجة زي كده, it's as if he was having an immunity system, حاجة زي جهاز المناعة كده, which stops him and supports him of not being corrupted by what is happening around him from corruption. Talk about Oliver's character with examples from the story. أنا لما يجي يتكلم على الكاركتر لأي حاجة about Oliver يبقى and I'm being corrupted by the society, على طول أعرف إن أنا هتكلم على ال beautiful character بتاعت Oliver, the innocent character of Oliver. Okay, in your opinion, why Charles Dickens chose the title of his novel Oliver Twist? Talk about the theme of the conflict between good and evil, which is reflected in the purity and peacefulness of the olive and how it was contrasted with the true world of evil. أنا كده هتكلم. I'm going to talk about innocence in Oliver Twist, and in Nancy too. She was innocent. Goodness in Mr. Brownlow, and also in Mrs. Bidwin. And I'm going to talk about evil we have seen in Mr. Pumple and Mrs. Mann, Fagin, all these cruel characters. And Mr. Grimwig. Mr. Grimwig signifies at the microscope. يعني إيه microscope؟ يعني he can see all the evilness in the world because he suspects everything. How would the novel be different if Oliver were a girl? Skip this question. I don't think that there would be any difference if Oliver was a girl or a boy. We are talking about innocence in character. Discuss the, the theme of poverty. طيب أنا عندي برضو غير ال theme of cruelty, we can see huge poverty in the society. Oliver was published at a time when many of Dickens' countrymen were living in great poverty. The most unfortunate were sent to workhouses where they received food and lodging in exchange for their labor. The protagonist of Dickens' novel ends up in such a workhouse as a child to earn his living. Oliver spends his days hungry in dark rooms. People were suffering everywhere. People were dying out of hunger. We have theme of child abuse or cruelty or injustice. كلها بمعنى واحد. All of them refer to the injustice. Please, sir, I want some more. Oliver Twist has asked for more. I am very hungry and tired. I've walked a long way. I've been walking these 7 days. This shows cruelty and injustice of society to poor children. They are they are so innocent to be treated in that way. I dream so much of heaven and angels, what and kind faces that I never see when I am awake. Discuss. طبعا, who said these words? They were said by Dick. Dick symbolizes Dickens' dream of a change, that he was seeing and dreaming of angels. He was searching for angels, means that he wants justice. He wants justice. He wants happiness. So he is dreaming of heaven and angels and calm faces that never see when I am awake, which are already do not exist in our or in the world. طيب في choices طبعا ممكن يجي لكم choices وممكن لأ. Oliver is a child of طبعا of dark لأن most of the story he was living in the darkness. showing how miserable the lower classes are shown, which theme of poverty. Who runs the home from young orphans where Oliver lives for 9 years? Mrs. Mann. Which figure of speech is used at the end of the second stanza? This is William Wordsworth's stanza. I wander lonely as a cloud. طبعا you have to study it by heart. You have to understand what is the meaning of personification and a simile. A simile, and I am comparing between two things using like and as. Metaphor is to compare two things, but without the use of like and as. Personification is to give human characteristics to things and to compare things with human characteristics. Okay, which of these lines from the poem I wander lonely as a cloud is an example of a simile? طبعا I wander lonely as a cloud. He compared himself to a cloud. Um, what was the speaker doing when he first saw the daffodils? He was wandering aimlessly at a cloud, and it's a simile that reflects the poet's loss of inspiration and his complete attachment to the beauty of nature, which inspires him and gives him the power to think, live, and talk. What are the poet's mood at the first two lines and how it was improved? The poem reflects the mood of loneliness, which gradually changed to happiness and liveliness by the appearance of the beautiful white daffodils. What are the importance of nature to the poet? Of course, it reflects the beauty of nature, importance of nature, and peacefulness and tranquility. This for daffodils. Back to Oliver Twist, if we want to talk a little bit about Nancy. Nancy was one of Fagin's gangs. She followed his order and she couldn't object, means she couldn't refuse anything he asked her for. She was a friend to Belle Sykes. She brought back Oliver to Fagin when she pretended to be Oliver's sister and was able to convince the whole crowd that he was her brother. She had great sense of guilt after that. She was sympathizing with Oliver, and her great sense of guilt shows her good side of her nature. She was not completely bad, but she was corrupted by the society. She was corrupted by what was happening in the society. In the meantime, she reflects Dickens' um aim of reform, that if we give the poor a chance to be good, they will be good because they are not completely bad. They were not born criminal by nature. They were not criminal by nature. They were not born to be criminals, but they were injustice they were uh, victimized by the injustice of the society. She bravely stopped Sykes from sitting his dog at Oliver and took the stick from Fagin's hand when he was about to hit Oliver. And she acted opposite to the reader's expectation because she's supposed to be a person. Mrs. Bidwin was the housekeeper, and Mr. Brownlow. She showed the good nature of people. She was so kind. She was a great mom to Oliver. She treated him humanly. She treated him in a humanly way. Um, I think we have discussed most of the important things in Oliver Twist. And كمان جه حظكم كده إن إحنا we discussed William Wordsworth William Wordsworth daffodils very quickly. Um, I hope إن أنتوا تكونوا استفدتوا. أتمنى actually إن أنتوا تكونوا live معايا عشان لو في any difficult questions you want to ask me about to help you in it. I was happily answering all your question, helping you. ممكن يجيلكوا writing to write a story of a situation which you discovered that someone whom you used to believe was your worst enemy proved to be a really faithful friend. ركزوا كويس جدا في قراية التوبكس دي. Um, write a story of situation in which you discover that someone whom you used to believe معناها إن إنسان أنت كنت واثق فيه جدا you're having full confidence in and um, sorry whom you used to believe was your worst enemy انت كنت متوقع انه هو أسوأ عدو ليك but in reality he proved to be a faithful friend. بس الموقف اللي حصل أثبت لك العكس إنه هو he was a good friend to you and helpful to you too. Um, this for now. I'm still waiting for someone to come and ask questions. عارفة إن بكرة الامتحان. uh, wish you the best. For the theme of the novel, Oliver Twist, we're having different themes. Sorry, we were having different places. The first place in which the reader encounters or knows Oliver was at the workhouse, where is taken at the age of 8. Dickens exposes the injustice of the workhouse or the society symbolizes in the workhouse officials and practice through grotesque realism. The description of the workhouse board members is satire, means that he was making fun of what was happening in order to protest and refuse. When Oliver goes to the workhouse, he is introduced to 10 fat gentlemen and one who was particularly fat with a very round red face. And the gentlemen were just posed again the children of the poor house who were starving. Um, all the time, Charles Dickens telling us this, that the children were starving, that children were suffering. This symbolizes the suffer of the society, the injustice to the society, and to the poor people. Mr. Sowerberry, the undertaker, where he takes the role of being mute during funeral procession, and the funerals itself showed the corruption and the hypocrisy of the society. في الاختيار بتاع الميك اب their disguise their sadness كل الحاجات دي shows reflects to us the corruption and the hypocrisy. أتمنى أكون أفدتكم وأتمنى أن انتوا تعملوا sharing للفيديو. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video, which wish you all good luck. لو في أي حاجة محتاجينها, write to me in the comments, and good luck.